So, what I want to talk about here is some of my experiences. I'm not going to mention too many because it can drag on and drag on. I kind of get used to the experiences of healing as being quite normal. So I'll just mention a few though. Now this first experience, well, it was one of the first experiences because it was about 30 years ago, and at that time I was doing a lot of studying and reading about yoga, and at that particular time I was reading a book called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And at that time I didn't know the things that I know now, which are much more powerful than at that time. But at that time I did know enough to heal myself through affirmations and stuff like that. But anyways, what happened is I was staying with my younger brother in Calgary, and that day we had a visitor. It was a friend of his from high school. I never met her, I never knew her. Well, she came over and she had this disease all over her body. It kind of looked like that tree trunk guy that you see on YouTube, the one that's growing tree roots from his arms and hands. Only in a smaller version, maybe like these kind of like nasty wart kind of things growing all over her body. They were about, jeepers, some of them were almost a half-inch long. And she was saying that, she'd been seeing the doctor for months and he couldn't do anything for her. And, she was there for about 2 or 3 hours. They talked and then she left. Funny thing is that the next day I had these things all over my body. Whoa, that was kind of scary, right? I wasn't even near her. I was sitting on the, like a chair on the other side of the living room. But yet here I was with these things all over my body. And so I said, well, no, I don't want to have any part of this. I'm gonna heal it right away. So I worked on it that night, a lot that night. Oh, I don't know, probably maybe a total of an hour altogether. Using decrees and affirmations that time I had learned from reading about Yogananda. And the next morning, it was amazing, just completely gone. Not a sign of it was there. So overnight, it just completely vanished. Of course, I was very happy and very thankful, and I thank God. And I knew the reason why it was gone. I never heard from her again, but I do know that she did have that for months. And I think part of the thing is that she was getting to the point where she accepted that she has it and that there is no cure. Whereas in my case, I didn't accept it. And I said right away, I'm going to work on this and heal it. And it was kind of nice to have those results of having it healed. As soon as I woke up in the morning, it was completely gone. About a year ago, my mother passed away suddenly, and all of us kids and family relatives had to go back to New Brunswick for the funeral. As I arrived back home, my hips were just ravaged. It was getting so bad with my hips that I couldn't hardly walk. I couldn't turn. I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't move. And you think to yourself, wow, is this the beginning of a hip operation? Is this the future now? Because it was there, and it felt so permanent, as if this was This was going to be my future. But I said to myself, no, as terrible as this is, as terrible as it feels, and as terrible as it seems to be, I don't accept it, I'm not going to accept it, and I'm going to heal it. So I started working on it throughout the day and throughout the night, and in each night. And I could see and feel it getting better now. When I started to use the commands, right? It wasn't getting better when I wasn't using the commands. It was getting better as I was using the commands to heal it. So I had to drive from New Brunswick to Montreal, and it was still pretty bad. But I kept on using those commands. It took a day to drive from New Brunswick to Montreal. It's about a 10-hour drive. That night we stayed in a hotel. And by the next morning, after about the third or fourth day of doing these commands, it was just gone. So when I boarded the plane or the jet from Montreal to Calgary, it was as if it never existed. Just nothing was there. and I knew that with that kind of serious hip thing, that I knew it would take me a little bit of time to heal. And 4 days is not too bad, right? 4 days to be completely healed is not too bad. And I realized I couldn't. There's a good chance I wasn't going to be able to heal it in 1 day, or maybe 2 days. But by the fourth day in the morning, it was completely healed. So anyway, sometimes I'll take things for a while, and then after a while I just say, that's it. I'm not gonna take this anymore. I'm gonna just heal it. And so what happened was, I was starting to develop arthritis in my hands. They were getting all gnarly and painful and couldn't move, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, is this my future? I said, no, I don't accept this. I'm not going to accept that I'm going to have gnarly arthritic hands. I'm going to work on it. And so I started to work on it. And it really didn't take too long. It probably within a month, I completely got rid of all the arthritis in my hands. And, as you can see, they're normal now. They're not, gnarly like that, right? But sometimes we let things creep up on us, and we kind of accept that maybe that's part of growing old or something. But I got fed up with it, and I said, no, I'm just gonna heal it, get rid of it. It did take about a month, but I wasn't putting the pressure on. I was just doing it slowly. So anyways, recently at work, there's a lady there, a very nice lady. Somehow, as she was walking by, it was mentioned, or she mentioned that she had, I think I asked how's it going or something, and she mentioned that she had this very bad pain in her wrist. Could be related to sports injury, because she did like playing basketball. And I said to her, well, why don't you heal yourself? And she gave me that little bit of a quizzical look. I said, listen, and I explained to her basically the same things that I explained in the number 1 and number 2 video, only to a lesser degree. And I was surprised, because when I spoke the words for her to say, she said, well, listen, I want to write this stuff down. And so she wrote it down. Anyways, a day or so, or 2 days later, she came up to me and she said, I got good news. I don't have any pain anymore. I'm not using any medicine either. I guess she was using some kind of medicine to help her with the pain. And so it's kind of nice to know that she did what I asked her to do. Not, it's a simple thing. It works for me. It'll work for anybody. She took the initiative to write it down, write those words down. She she spoke those words. She did them mentally or out loud, and it worked for her, you know, within 2 days. And it's like that, you know. Out of 100 people that you say to them, you know, heal yourself, why don't you heal yourself? It's easy. There's a good chance that only about 20% will do it, or will take you serious. So anyways, there was this other time when I had nerve damage in my left side. You know, it's kind of scary when your left arm is flopping around with, you can't control it, you can't move it. It's kind of not a very nice feeling. But I knew I had to work on it right away. This is something that I didn't want to have to be any kind of permanent situation. And so I worked on it right away. And I didn't accept that I'm going to have this nerve damage for the rest of my life. And I would say probably within 4 days. It took about 4 days of, you know, doing the commands to heal throughout the day here and there, a little bit before I go to sleep. It took about 4 days to be completely healed. And that's from a flippy floppy, kind of useless arm to being healed. But I did, you know, use a lot of light. I passed a lot of light through the nerves. I could see it, I could feel it, and it just took about 4 days. Now, another thing I wanted to mention too is that some people are very acceptant of healing themselves, and they go about it and they do it. So anyways, my daughter is one of those people that is very accepting, fully accepts her ability to, or the ability to heal herself, which is good. She's a very advanced person, even though she's young. Amazingly advanced. Anyway, she recently had a wrestling injury, and when she came home, she was telling me about this wrestling injury. And I said to her, well, okay, well, you make sure you heal yourself, right? And she said that she already started the moment she could feel the injury happening. At that very moment, as she could feel her elbow crack or pop out of place, whatever it was. She said at that very moment, she called forth the power to take care of it. And within about 3 days, she was able to enter into, like on the 4th day, 4th or 5th day, I guess, she was able to enter into another wrestling competition. And, you know, she won it too. That's kind of nice. So, she's a young person, only 13 years old, but she fully uses her ability to heal herself with full confidence. And you know, that's why these kind of things are good for children or anybody. Get them to the level where they're confident in calling forth the light to heal themselves. It's up to you, the viewer, you know, to try for yourself. If you do it, it's going to work for you. It's that simple. And if you don't do it, it's not going to work. But imagine if you did have something that was seriously wrong and you even healed 50% of it. That would be good already, wouldn't it? But once you get to the 50%, then you just keep on going and you heal it 100%. So just by a little bit of faith and effort and trying, and you'll get the results. And I won't need to tell a bunch of stories to prove that this works. And if there's only one person out there who's watching these videos and on one person heals themselves, I would be very happy. You know, I'd be happy anyways, because I know people are going to heal themselves. It's just going to happen. Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you Lucky Yogi and my other subscribers too for watching. Thank you very much, and goodbye.